Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a very British book haul. I recently went to England with my sister and my mum because it was my mum's birthday and she had tickets for a concert in Eastbourne. So naturally we had to make a pit stop in London and see all the Christmas lights and get all the books. Our first stop was at Selfridges to look at the Christmas decorations outside as well as inside. It looked like a disco ball had thrown up in there, which means I absolutely loved it. When it got dark, we walked through the streets to look at all the Christmas lights. I think Cartier did it best and stopped at Fortnum & Mason's. In the end, we split up and I went straight to Waterstones at Piccadilly, Europe's biggest bookstore. For our stay in London, I had planned to visit the big three bookstores in London, which are the big Waterstones, the Dawn Books and Foyles. Waterstones does really have tons of books, but somehow I was a little disappointed because there wasn't much speaking to me. One would think that this much choice would satisfy any taste, but maybe something's wrong with me. Anyways, I still found some books, and with my treasure in tow, I made my way back to our Airbnb where I settled in for a cozy night of reading. The next day we went to hunt down some breakfast, and after some minor setbacks, meaning that we had to look at everything even though the weather wasn't the best, and also every place we looked up on Google was packed, we found a nice little place that made fantastic pancakes. After that, my sister wanted to visit the old operating theatre. It is a tiny little museum packed with interesting medical stuff, but also a lot of gruesome details. As my sister is a doctor, she was in her element, marveling at how her colleagues worked back then, while my mother had to leave early when she saw the bone saws and gynecological instruments. The operating theatre itself is just as it was hundreds of years ago, and I'm really happy that I'm alive now and not back then. Afterwards, the weather had changed drastically, so we went on a walk along the Thames. In the afternoon, we had a highlight planned, or let's say my sister had the highlight planned, because you have to buy your tickets 3 weeks in advance, and my chaotic brain could never. Anyways, I'm very grateful because what we did was watch the sunset from Sky Gardens, which is a lookout greenhouse kind of thing located on the 30th floor of a skyscraper in the middle of London, so you get to see everything. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And finally, we split up again and I went to Dawn Books. Honestly, such a beautiful bookstore. I'd seen pics on Instagram and I thought you see this pretty hall right away when you enter, but you have to go slightly to the right and then bam, there it is. Also a great book selection there, sorted by countries. I got some books from there as well. I'll show you everything I got later in the video. The next and last day in London, we went to see The Change of Guards, together with round about 50,000 of our closest friends. Honestly, it was very crowded, so if you want to go, be there early and ready to fight. We left before everybody else and got to enjoy a relatively uncrowded walk back. Our train to Eastbourne was not until the afternoon, so we split up again and I went to my final bookstore, Foyles. Again, very Instagram worthy, but also a solid choice of books. I think the next time round though, I'll go to indie bookshops because I think they have a more interesting choice, and also I think they need the money much more. On the train to Eastbourne, I started Magma by Thora Hjörleifsdóttir. Sorry if that pronunciation was off, but she's an Icelandic author and the book is gripping but also quite a depressing read. In Eastbourne, we stayed at the Grand Hotel, and on top of it we had dinner and a big band concert. I felt like in a 1920s murder mystery. I was ready to investigate in case somebody dropped dead, but the only thing that dropped that night was me into bed after a bottle of wine. In the morning, we saw Eastbourne and the hotel in daylight for the first time, and it was glorious. We were lucky with the weather on the whole trip. The winter sun in England is really special, in a way I can't explain. Then we had the fanciest breakfast ever. They even had a vegetarian full English breakfast for me. After breakfast, we went for a hike along the seaside and the cliffs. Many years ago, I lived close to Eastbourne, in Brighton. Whenever I got off work early, I walked down to the beach to sit on the pebbles and watch the waves. I have not been back ever since, but I miss the sea and the wind. It's no tropical beach for sure. The beach is covered in stones, not sand, and the water is grey and often rough, but the wild beauty of it is something that I enjoy a lot. In the evening, the same band as yesterday was playing, but the dress code was fancy 1920s. The band is called the Pasadena Roof Orchestra, and seeing them feels like stepping back in time. The next day was stormy and grey, and I walked around Eastbourne to get a small birthday present for my mother, but after I did, I found my way back down to the beach. Then I went back to the hotel because it started raining, which was in fact perfect for us to stay in, have some hot chocolate and read. I continued to read Magma as I was absolutely hooked. Apart from this book, I bought 8 other books. Lost on Me by Veronica Raimoy. It's a coming-of-age story translated from Italian, and it kind of reminded me of Elena Ferrante's Lying Life of Adults, which I love. Then Lyonesse by Penelope Shuttle, which is a poetry collection about a sunken city. My Enemy's Cherry Tree by Ting Kuo Wang, which is a story from a Taiwanese author about a man losing the love of his life and being confronted with his arch enemy, who also might have something to do with the disappearance of the wife. Having and Being Had by Eula Biss, which is a collection of essays about consumerism, very interesting and very readable. I just read the first 50 pages in one sitting. A Sunday in Ville d'Avray by Dominique Barbery, which is a story about 2 sisters confined to the suburbs of Paris who are full of desires, and they confide in each other. And this one is translated from French. Then we have Sheep's Clothing by Cecilia Dale, which is a story about 2 women freshly released from prison, and they're conning old women until they accidentally kill one. And then we have The Summer Book by Tove Jansson, which is a story that heavily leans towards memoir by the creator of The Movements, actually. And it's about an elderly woman and her granddaughter, and they spend time together on an island. And finally, we have Strangers at the Port by Lauren Amy Curtis, which is a story about 2 young sisters that are growing up within an island community far away from everything, and whose quiet life gets disrupted when strange men arrive in a boat. In the evening, we had dinner at a hotel, which was incredible. Then we went to the entry hall where there was a fireplace and some armchairs. During the day these were usually occupied, but now at night we had them all to ourselves. The next day was my mum's birthday, and we had something special planned. A flower arrangement workshop followed by a luncheon. It was for women only, and it was so much fun. Compared to Germans, I feel the English are way more open and polite towards strangers. We all did the same flower arrangement, but they turned out very differently. But all great. At night, my sister and me went for a moonlight beach walk and nearly got lost. Luckily, we found our way back before the tide came in. The next day was also our last, so we left our luggage in storage and went for a final walk by the seaside and on the pier. Then we took the train back to London. In London, we still had some time before we had to make our way to the airport, so we had dinner at a cozy pub and walked around one last time. And that's it. I don't think I had such a fancy weekend when I was still living in England, but I hope I could pass on lots of good vibes to you wherever in the world you are. If you liked this video, why don't you give me a like and maybe subscribe to my channel? I will do more videos. See you then and Happy New Year. Bye!